Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Wife Moon Goddess, I teach her to develop civilization. Chapter 96. I have already guessed that the emergence of Yuang must be mainly due to you. The voice of the storm goddess rang out. It seemed that the goddess of life and thunder were not too surprised. They all expected it. When the moon goddess changed the conditions before, she mainly negotiated for Chi Phoebe, and Chi Phoebe entered their divine kingdom and communicated with them in detail. Just let them have some guesses. After all, although the moon goddess is a great goddess, the possibility of the moon goddess suddenly inventing such an era-changing thing as the moon net is very low. If the moon network was born in the world of gods itself, then at least it would have to be inspired by the prototype of the network appearing in the world of gods. Moreover, if the moon net was invented by the moon goddess, then the prototype at the beginning should be relatively rough, and it would be impossible to do it so well all at once. As expected, now, with the confirmation from the moon goddess, none of the four great goddesses were too surprised. However, the eyes of the goddess of storm, goddess of thunder, and goddess of life became brighter when they looked at Chi Phoebe. As for the goddess of wisdom, in her beautiful eyes, the admiration for Chi Phoebe became more and more intense, as if seeing Chi Phoebe could make her feel extremely happy. The other 7 newly arrived goddesses were not surprised because they didn't know Chi Phoebe at all. After the introduction by the moon goddess, they all couldn't help but look at Chi Phoebe. Chi Phoebe is tall and handsome, his whole person is full of sunshine and masculine. At the same time, because Chi Phoebe comes from the east, he has an elegant temperament. This kind of temperament makes Chi Phoebe look particularly different from the men in the world of gods. It feels like it makes the big goddesses shine. After all, they are great goddesses, so it is naturally impossible for them to develop a liking for someone based on their appearance. However, Chi Phoebe's superb appearance and unique temperament left a good first impression on them. In addition, Chi Phoebe invented the moon net, which naturally made the 7 great goddesses have a searching look in their eyes, wanting to know Chi Phoebe's identity. They have never seen Chi Phoebe. Moreover, they soon realized that Chi Phoebe did not have the charm of a god. This kind of charm comes naturally after becoming a god. Chi Phoebe's body didn't even have the slightest breath of god. It seems, just an ordinary human being. A human being appears in the divine world. Also invented the Monet. This made these 7 great goddesses even more curious about Chi Phoebe's identity. Please tell them a specific plan. 157. Moon goddess said. Good wife. Chi Phoebe said smoothly. This title confirmed to the goddess of wisdom that Chi Phoebe did not lie to her. Her eyes couldn't help but feel a little sad. As for the other great goddesses, they still don't know the meaning of the word wife, and Chi Phoebe's title has not attracted their attention. Chi Phoebe started talking. The plan is naturally very simple. It is to construct 6 specialized sections: light system, fire system, water system, ice system, earth system, metal system. Well, Chi Phoebe of the ice system took it out separately. Although this is a branch of the water system, it is very different after all. In this way, there are a full 10 sections for each department of magic in Yuang. It can cover most magicians. The remaining small departments, such as alchemy, can be improved later. In an empire, there are not many magicians of that kind. The content of each section is the responsibility of the goddesses. As for the specific effects of each section, it depends on the abilities of each goddess. Chi Phoebe said. The 7 great goddesses all nodded. Chi Phoebe's introduction was very detailed, and with several previous sections as examples, they all knew what to do. Also confident to do well. After all, they are all great goddesses at the 4th level. Adele, Beulah and I have a lot of overlap in terms of priesthood and power. What should we do? Should we do it together, or just one of us? At this time, the goddess of fire spoke. Beulah, the goddess of fire. The goddess of fire and the goddess of flames are both great goddesses in the solar system, and both belong to the fire system. As the largest divine system, the sun god system has 2 branches, light and fire, among which fire is more powerful than light. Her words put the moon goddess in trouble. The moon goddess looked at Chi Phoebe subconsciously. Chi Phoebe spoke. The number of fire magicians is the largest, so how about you cooperate? The goddess of fire and the goddess of flame looked at each other. Finally, the goddess of fire said. The flame goddess also expressed her stance and agreed to the plan. Bye. Can I call you that? At this time, another great goddess spoke. Chi Phoebe looked around and saw that the person speaking was the goddess of light. Okay, goddess, do you have any questions? Chi Phoebe asked. The goddess of light said, Bye, I heard that the moon net can only be used at night BBFF. If you are willing, maybe we can use the light of the sun to make the moon net usable during the day. Having said this, the goddess of light realized that her words could easily cause misunderstandings. She further explained, I'm not competing with Adele for the priesthood or the moon net, and I don't have any priesthood in this regard. The moon network is a network created by the moon goddess using the moon and her own priesthood. If you use the sun, you can indeed connect to the internet during the day. But, Tu-Fei had never considered this plan during the day. Why do you do something that is not good for you and your wife? Do good people and good deeds, and then watch others grow up and make wedding dresses for others. Not to mention, once the moon goddess grows up, she may not be unable to connect to the internet during the day. But if it's the sun, there will be no power at night. In addition, for the magicians in the continent of gods now, the moon net is actually just right. They can go online in the evening, study and communicate online until about 11 to 12 p.m., then meditate for 8 hours, and it's just daytime. During the day, they just went to test the results of the night. In terms of time arrangement, it is actually quite scientific. For the time being, it is not necessary to do it. You can also connect to the internet during the day. There are restrictions, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Therefore, Chi Phoebe shook his head and said, We understand the goddess's wishes. There is no need to use the current moon net during the day. I will solve this problem after the moon net becomes popular. Okay, I just wanted to mention this. By the way, bye, you have been talking to us for so long, but I still don't know what your full name is. The goddess of light asked again. Chi Phoebe said, Chi Phoebe. Chi Phoebe, it's a very good name. The goddess of light read Chi Phoebe's name once and praised him. Then, she suddenly realized that this name seemed familiar. Someone reacted faster than her. Chi Phoebe. Bye, aren't you the same Chi Phoebe? The earth goddess asked with surprise in her eyes. Several other goddesses also reacted. In the past few days, Chi Phoebe's name has spread like thunder throughout the god realm. He saved nearly 2,000 gods at once, and he was still rescued from an extremely terrifying demonic test. There are many powerful gods here. The angel at the 4th level is one of them. Later, the identities of more powerful gods were revealed, including 2 great gods from thousands of years ago. It's just that after being imprisoned for thousands of years, his strength has declined quite seriously. There are also a large number of 3rd-level gods, as well as 1st and 2nd-level gods. So these 2 days, Chi Phoebe's name is still being spread in the god realm. A lot of the Holy Spirit is talking about this. There are also a lot of flows of Holy Spirit, all looking for their former masters. This also made this incident and Chi Phoebe's name spread more and more widely. However, no one still knows who Chi Phoebe is. Naturally, these 7 great goddesses have also paid attention to this matter. At the same time, he was also curious about who Chi Phoebe was. As great goddesses, they have a better understanding of the situation in the divine world. I have never heard of any great god named Chi Phoebe. Until now, they know. The man in front of them who introduced Bantian Yuang to them, is actually Chi Phoebe, who has recently become famous in the god realm. Of course, they haven't confirmed it yet. But everyone looked at Chi Phoebe with surprise. He is that Chi Phoebe, didn't you expect that? The voice of the liveliest storm goddess sounded. Her words immediately confirmed the 7 goddesses. Some goddesses also looked at the goddess of wisdom. This time they came mainly to talk about the moon network. There was not much chatting in the previous reminiscing. However, a few goddesses were still prepared to ask the goddess of wisdom about her trip to the abyss. Seeing a goddess looking at her, the goddess of wisdom said, Yes, it was Bai who rescued those gods. This time, it was completely confirmed. The surprise in the eyes of the 7 goddesses can no longer be concealed. Bai, tell us quickly. The storm goddess couldn't help it anymore. This most girlish goddess was also very enthusiastic about Chi Phoebe. After hearing the words of the storm goddess, each of the 7 goddesses also became very interested. They also wanted to know Chi Phoebe's experience in the abyss and how he rescued so many gods. Although those gods have said some things, they naturally do not understand the whole story. Bye, you are so awesome, I want to hear it too. The goddess of light held her chin with one hand, flashing her big eyes and said. As a goddess of light, her body is always shrouded in a faint glow. This is the result of her deliberate restraint. If she were outside, the light on her body would be enough to turn her into a little sun, and others would not be able to see her clearly. The other goddesses also had their curiosity written on their faces. Bye, thank you for your hard work and explain it again. Seeing that all these goddesses wanted to hear it, the moon goddess whispered to Chi Phoebe. She looked at Chi Phoebe with love in her eyes all the time. This love is not easy for the goddesses to detect if they don't deliberately think about it, but the goddess of wisdom noticed it again. Seeing these great goddesses looking at him with burning eyes, Chi Phoebe had no choice but to start talking. Naturally, he omitted a lot. Especially what happened with the girl in the white dress, he didn't even tell his wife, so naturally he couldn't tell it in public. Half-step Lord God's void demon. Dragon, coupled with the shackles of the void and the prison cell made of star gold, no wonder they said that after entering the devil's prison, not even the Lord God can escape. The storm goddess sighed while listening. She also gained a new understanding of the dangers of the demon prison. Even if she is trapped inside, she has no chance of escaping. Unless she has an artifact in her hand that can break the star gold. Star gold is indeed indestructible, but it is also absolutely indestructible. There are still artifacts that can break the star gold. However, you are all imprisoned in the demon prison, who will let you bring the artifact. Without the artifact, he would be very passive when facing star gold. The reason why star gold cannot be used to make artifacts is that this thing is not interested in divine power. If you use divine power to blast star gold, it will not move at all. If you use the power controlled by gods to attack, it will not work. Okay, although the shortcomings of this thing are obvious, the fact that it is extremely hard is enough to make many gods despair. Chi Phoebe was able to enter and exit such a terrifying prison freely without disturbing the void demonic dragon, just for this reason. This made many great goddesses become curious about Chi Phoebe's abilities, and even felt unfathomable. They can naturally guess that what Chi Phoebe possesses must be space ability, but they cannot imagine what kind of space ability can achieve this step. The space system is very rare. The current space system has only one great god and no main god. When this great god goes to the demon prison, he can only kneel down. The lord of the demon abyss, she is actually imprisoned in the demon prison. When Chi Phoebe talked about Zera, a great goddess revealed the other party's identity. The demonic abyss is Zera's territory, and it also belongs to the abyss. Zera's combat effectiveness has greatly increased in it. In other words, as long as Zera escapes back to the demon abyss, the demon lord in the abyss will not dare to enter rashly. Following Chi Phoebe's narration, the great goddesses roughly understood the whole process. Bye, you are so powerful, you actually thought of using the lord of the demonic abyss, and you were able to bring her out. The Lord of Storms looked at Chi Phoebe with stars in his eyes. The way other goddesses looked at Chi Phoebe also changed obviously. Not only was there surprise, there was also admiration. Although Chi Phoebe was the master of the demonic abyss, it was precisely this that showed Chi Phoebe's power. Just being able to go in silently and release the Lord of the demonic abyss, no god can do it. This made them even more curious about Chi Phoebe's methods. However, no one asked. As great goddesses, they naturally know that they cannot inquire about other people's methods casually. Bye, I heard Adele say that you were looking for fragments of a giant artifact, and I happened to get some news. I will give this news to you. At this time, the earth goddess spoke. The moon goddess naturally negotiated the conditions before inviting them to come. The conditions are similar to those of other goddesses. Chi Phoebe can let them take action 3 times when needed, as well as the special fruits they possess. The moon goddess knew that Chi Phoebe needed the fragments of the giant space artifact, and was also helping Chi Phoebe to find out. Goddess of Earth, it seems she just knows. She moved her hand and handed a ball of light to Chi Phoebe. After Chi Phoebe took it, he digested the information inside. Goddess, where is the Sea of Aa Divine Burial? Chi Phoebe asked. God's Burial Sea. Upon hearing these 3 words, the moon goddess' expression changed. That is an ancient battlefield site outside the god realm. It is a bit far away from the god realm, and now is not a good time to go. The goddess of wisdom said. There should be several fragments there. If you want to go there then, I can accompany you. The earth goddess said. Chi Phoebe said, thank you goddess for the news. No, thank you for allowing us to join the moon network. This ring is given to you. It contains a defensive magic, the shield of the earth, which can resist even the attack of the Lord God. The earth goddess handed Chi Phoebe a ring. Earth shield. I give you this chain of ice and snow. The goddess of ice and snow is also here. Immediately afterwards, these 7 great goddesses gave Chi Phoebe a very good item, which basically contained their strongest magic or means. Chi Phoebe was not polite and accepted them all. In the divine kingdom of the moon goddess, the goddesses left one after another. This gathering of the 12 great goddesses of the gods lasted for a whole day. The 7 great goddesses all know what they need to prepare. At this point, all the great goddesses have joined Yuang. Goodbye, come and visit my kingdom of God when you have time. The storm goddess is gone too. After all the goddesses left, the moon goddess showed a slight smile to Chi Phoebe. Are you tired? Chi Fei talked for nothing today and was indeed a little tired. Now the moon goddess, Chi Phoebe, is becoming more and more gentle. She cast a magic spell for Chi Phoebe and cut the moon fruit for Chi Phoebe. She had stored the moon fruits for many years, but most of them were eaten by Jifei in vain. Late at night, honey, it's time to go to bed. Chi Phoebe pulled the shy moon goddess into the little moon. The moon goddess actually wanted to make more moon rings, but recently, she has become more and more helpless, because Chi Phoebe pulled her into the moon more and more often. The night passed. In the following time, Chi Phoebe became busy. After all, it was the first time for the 7 goddesses to come into contact with the moon network. From time to time, the goddesses would encounter some problems, and Chi Phoebe would patiently answer them. After a busy week like this, the 7 great goddesses are basically okay, and everyone has carefully prepared the content. Moon goddess has already prepared the corresponding section, and when they have prepared enough content, they can go online. However, when Chi Phoebe returned to the kingdom of God that day, he saw a familiar face. Goddess of Wisdom. There is not only the Goddess of Wisdom, but also many holy spirits of the Goddess of Wisdom. Hello, Your Excellency Phoebe. Loretta, the little holy spirit, and the other little holy spirits saluted Chi Phoebe one after another. Why, don't you welcome us? The Goddess of Wisdom blinked and said. I invite Amaya to come and play for a while. I am going to hand over the making of the moon ring to Amaya's holy spirit. The moon goddess explained why. It turned out to be the invitation from the moon goddess. She was going to hand over the making of the moon ring to the Goddess of Wisdom. The moon ring is not actually the key is the combined magic that is permanently fixed on the moon ring. The moon ring is only the carrier of divine magic, but it also needs to be carefully crafted. The Goddess of Wisdom is more at ease with the Goddess of the Moon, so the Goddess of the Moon is going to hand over the making of the moon ring to the Goddess of Wisdom. In this way, the moon goddess can concentrate on improving the various functions of the moon network. Now she is still carrying the task of program development. The Goddess of Wisdom creates moon rings, and the production of moon rings will also be further accelerated. As for fixed magic, it is still performed by the Holy Spirit of the moon goddess. No wonder. The Goddess of Wisdom has come with the Holy Spirits. Looking at this situation, I am afraid she will have to live in the kingdom of the moon goddess for a while. Only, the Goddess of Wisdom on the front foot just expressed her thoughts to Chi Phoebe. The Goddess of the Moon invited the Goddess of Wisdom over as a guest. Chi Phoebe wanted to say to the moon goddess, "Wife, isn't this really inviting a wolf into the house?" The Goddess of Wisdom did not show any abnormal behavior, as if nothing happened that night. She began to learn the making of moon rings from the moon goddess, and then learned the manufacturing production line, and then taught it to her holy spirits. These all take some time. Seeing this, Chi Phoebe drank tea leisurely by himself. From time to time, he takes out a space-time fruit and eats it. After the time and space talent tree reaches level 9, it becomes more and more powerful. The nourishment of Chi Phoebe's time and space heart and time and space body is getting stronger and stronger. There are many more skills. For example, a very powerful skill. Exile in time and space. This skill is also an attack skill. Once activated, it can banish the enemy to an unknown distance. The great thing about this skill is that it can be used against enemies that are much stronger than you, but the timing of use must be mastered. 3 skills that have been gestating since level 7 have not been conceived yet. I don't know what they are. The time and space talent tree is still some distance away from level 10. Chi Phoebe estimates that to reach level 10, he will have to absorb as much space energy as in the demon prison. No, probably not enough. More space energy is needed. Reaching level 10 should be a qualitative leap, and there may be some new changes. The ability that Chi Phoebe wanted most was naturally the other axis of his time and space talent, which was the ability in time. I just don't know if after level 10, I will be able to touch the time level ability. If you can't reach it, then keep going up. One day, you will reach it. The goddess of wisdom stayed as a guest for a whole half a month, and after half a month, she still had no intention of leaving. It's a pleasure to look at such a beautiful woman every day. However, Chi Phoebe was so depressed. Because the goddess of wisdom and the goddess of the moon were tired of being together all day long, the goddess of the moon was too embarrassed to enter the little moon with Chi Phoebe in vain. If you don't enter little moon, where will the opportunity come from? That's how people are. If you are single, you will be fine if you don't touch a woman for a year or 2. But as soon as you have a girlfriend or get married, within a few days, it becomes a little unbearable. The moon goddess and Chi Phoebe can already be regarded as an old husband and wife. Naturally, he understood Chi Phoebe's thoughts. On this day, while the goddess of wisdom returned to the kingdom of God to get something, the moon goddess went into the little moon to look for something. Wife. Chi Phoebe followed in, from behind. Amaya is back. 3 hours later, the moon goddess said shyly. Wait a little longer. Another 10 minutes passed. Finally, the moon goddess walked out of the little moon with red cheeks. The goddess of wisdom had already arrived and was busy with the holy spirits. When she saw the moon goddess coming out, she didn't seem to notice anything unusual. Bye, their first batch of content is ready. Another day passed and good news arrived. The contents of the first batch of the 7 great goddesses have been prepared. It's ready to go online. So, that night, the 7 goddess sections were officially launched. In the kingdom of God, Chi Phoebe, the moon goddess, and the goddess of wisdom were all looking at the background. And in the divine kingdom of the 7 great goddesses, they are also watching. This is the first time their content has been put online, so naturally I want to know feedback. The Eternal Night Empire. Now, it has been several months since the Moon Network arrived. Magicians have long been accustomed to the existence of the Moon Network, and will not deliberately discuss the Moon Network. This unintentional meaning is like that everyone on Earth has access to the Internet. When it comes to surfing the Internet, it is no longer a rare thing. We came to the Evernight Empire at the right time. Although the moon ring is a bit expensive, we still bought it. Now we don't have to worry about no one to teach us. Yes, many mages have come to the Evernight Empire recently. It is said that there is a Plantagenet kingdom in the south. It is the kingdom of the moon goddess. As long as a magician joins, even a magic apprentice can receive a free monthly ring. Unfortunately, it is too far away. Really, do I, as an apprentice, have a chance? I want to go. In the Evernight Empire, several newly arrived magicians are enjoying themselves there. They just bought the moon ring today. The current moon rings are sold in batches every once in a while in the Eternal Night Empire, and the prices are not cheap. It is more expensive than before and costs 20 gold coins each. This is equivalent to letting you buy a mobile phone with 200,000 yuan. You know, the total annual income of an average family in the Evernight Empire is only 1 gold coin, which is just over 10,000. Therefore, the price of the moon ring, even 10 gold coins, is expensive. Most people simply can't afford it. For magicians, even junior magicians can still get into it if they grit their teeth. The emergence of the moon net caused surrounding magicians to continuously pour into the Evernight Empire. This situation is also happening in the Plantagenet Kingdom. Because the Plantagenet Kingdom also has a very powerful policy. All magicians, join the Plantagenet Kingdom and get a moon ring for free. This policy is great. In addition, the Plantagenet kingdom belongs to the kingdom of the moon goddess, and it has also begun to have a siphon effect on the surrounding magicians. Magicians who are far away may not consider it, but those who are close will be tempted. The evening came soon, and in the Evernight Empire, the magicians boarded the moon net one after another. As soon as they landed on the lunar ring, many magicians received a piece of news that made them overjoyed. That is, 6 new sections have been added to Yuwang, completing the 9 major departments of magic. Oh my god, it's finally here. That's great, I've been waiting for this day for so long. It's actually a course created by the ice and snow goddess herself. How great. The moon goddess is so awesome. She has invited so many great goddesses. Goddess of the earth, wow, good news for earth magicians. Suddenly, there were 3 cheers in the Evernight Empire. Now, it has been more than a month since the forums of the 3 goddesses including Storm Goddess were launched. Over the past month or so, every magician from other departments has become envious. I am simply envious. The 3 goddesses are constantly improving the content of the sections they are responsible for, and the content is becoming more and more sophisticated. Many of the 3 series magicians have made rapid progress in more than a month. Some magicians who have stayed at one level for a long time have also made breakthroughs. On the forum, the most active ones are also magicians from these 3 departments. After many magicians achieve great achievements, they will avoid posting a post in high spirits and make a special trip to feel the goddess of the moon and the goddesses of the 3 systems. This can make magicians from other departments very depressed. Especially the fire magicians, who have the largest number of people. Each of these magicians prays collectively every day, hoping that the goddess Yongliang can launch 10 fire magician sections as soon as possible. After waiting for more than a month, they finally arrived. Asking for flowers. One by one, they clicked on the section with great excitement. Wow, there are actually 2 great goddesses in charge of our fire section. As expected of the first series of magic, it's great. Now the fire element has really risen. Fire magicians, see that the fire department is jointly responsible by the goddess of fire and the goddess of flames. The courseware, courses, and knowledge in it are all produced and organized by the 2 goddesses. Everyone was overjoyed. Magicians from other departments don't have the energy to pay attention to them now. They were all immersed in other sections of their own department. The atmosphere in Yuwang suddenly became lively. The effect is not bad. Well, the things they prepared are pretty good. In the divine kingdom of the moon goddess and the wisdom goddess were watching and communicating there. Basically, all the new magicians from the new departments have poured into those 6 sections. Some magicians from other departments also ran to watch the fun. There are different types of magic, so it is impossible to learn them, and you can only watch the fun. There are also some dual system magicians, but they are very rare. For example, if you possess the ice element and the water element at the same time, strictly speaking, you are not considered a dual element magician. Because it all comes from the same source. This time after all the sections were put online, the effect was very good. Yuwang's belief pool has also increased again. Even if the number of magicians from the 6 series remains unchanged, the faith they contribute has further increased. The functions of Yuwang have not been increased too much at present. After all, there is only one Eternal Night Empire with hundreds of thousands of users, so there is no need to launch too many new functions. It's ready to be sent to the Star Peak Empire. Chi Phoebe said. All sections are online, and the Moon Network is irresistible to magicians. 0. The Moon Ring has also been stored for hundreds of thousands of years, and it can quickly capture the Star Peak Empire. The Star Peak Empire is located near a thermal ridge. The weather there is relatively hot and there are many fire magicians. The goddess of fire and the goddess of flame have some followers there. Can you to get their followers to cooperate? The goddess of wisdom said. Good. With the help, Chi Phoebe will naturally not use it. Several of his own goddesses have already joined Yuwang. There are so many people, so it's really easy to experience the experience. Soon, the goddess of wisdom mentioned this matter in the group, and the 2 goddesses naturally agreed without any hesitation. So Chi Phoebe set off with a large number of moon rings. Soon, he came to the Star Peak Empire. The climate of the Star Peak Empire is a typical tropical climate. It is relatively hot here, but there are many rivers in the territory, unusually lush plants, and abundant rainfall. The entire Star Peak Empire is still relatively strong, because many crops here can be harvested twice or even 3 times a year. There are also a lot of magicians here. Although they are mainly fire-based, there are also many other magicians. For Chi Fibai, it didn't matter. As long as he joined Yuang, any magician from any series would be able to provide a lot of faith. As long as he provides faith, his wife will always take the lead. There is no Dharma god in the Star Peak Empire, but there is a saint. The Dharma saint is only one step away from being a demigod. After the Dharma saint becomes a demigod, he must leave the continent of gods and go to the god realm. This Dharma saint once received the grace of the flame goddess. It is not cost-effective for God to widely gain the faith of believers through revelation. That would be a loss. But some powerful magicians, especially some gods in the empire, will fight for it. However, a magician who is too powerful will become a god himself, and it is almost impossible to gain faith. But after you give some benefits and let others receive your favor, it may occasionally be useful. This Dharma saint once received the grace of the flame goddess, who sent a special revelation to help him break through a small realm. But he didn't believe in the flame goddess because he was only one step away from being a demigod. Although I have no faith, I still have gratitude. So, this time, Chi Fibai met the Dharma saint first and then the emperor of the Star Peak Empire. With the example of the Evernight Empire and the fact that the Moon Network was already so perfect, Chi Fibai only needed to demonstrate it, and the emperor of the Star Peak Empire realized the role of the Moon Network in communication. However, like the Eternal Night Empire, the Star Peak Empire also implemented an unbiased strategy. Still the same as last time, Chi Fibai promised to provide them with a batch of moon rings in 3 months. After reaching a consensus, Chi Fibai started the operation with the help of the 2 fire goddesses and some believers of other goddesses. He first sent a large number of people to spread the news about the Moon Network. When they heard that Yuang was so magical and contained not only all the magic knowledge, but also video courses made by 12 great goddesses themselves, all the magicians were moved. More news spread. For example, hundreds of thousands of magicians in the Evernight Empire all had moon rings, and they could learn magic on them every day. The magicians in the Star Peak Imperial capital were all envied. After 3 days of brewing these news, Chi Fibai released moon rings on a large scale. On the first day, he released 100,000. The 100,000 monthly rings released on the first day will naturally be used first and then paid for. Since the news had already spread among the magicians in the Star Peak Imperial capital, these 100,000 moon rings were quickly sold out. Still, only magicians with the Intermediate Magician badge can obtain it. The Star Peak Empire is the same as the Evernight Empire. In the most prosperous imperial capital, more than half of the magicians in the entire empire are concentrated. Such large empires will have a siphon effect on surrounding magicians. And the imperial capital will have a siphon effect on magicians throughout the empire. Why not anymore? I couldn't even grab it even if I wanted to. There are too many people. Let's try another spot. Some magicians didn't get it and were in a hurry. They naturally wanted to see such a magical moon network, not to mention that there was no need to pay for the moon ring at the beginning. After a trial period, they could just pay the gold again. If you don't make up the payment, you won't be able to continue using it. The 100,000 magicians who obtained the moon rings happily activated them with their spiritual power and got up. Basically, every magician is surrounded by more or less people. Wow! After a magician activated the moon ring and saw the projected screen, he immediately felt that it was extremely novel. Many magicians have never seen such magic in the continent of gods. Why can't we see it? Surrounding them, 3 magicians looked at the blurry screen and asked. Pray, haven't you heard? Just pray to the moon goddess. The magician who obtained the moon ring. The 3 magicians prayed one after another. Soon, the screen became visible to them. Wow, is this the Moon Forum? It's so lively. Are these magicians from the Eternal Night Empire? It's amazing. We are tens of thousands of miles away from the Eternal Night Empire. I didn't expect that we could see their news even though we are so far away. Look, it seems to be from a forbidden spell mage. Each of these magicians is more amazing than the last. It's just like when someone goes online for the first time. No, Ida's more novel than someone who is surfing the internet for the first time. Most people go online just for entertainment. These magicians are able to see what is useful to them. Just one moon forum made these magicians' eyes light up. Think about it. In this world with backward communications, they were actually able to see the messages sent by the magicians of the Eternal Night Empire tens of thousands of miles away through the Moon Network. Even for a magician, it is an extremely magical thing. Therefore, the first thing these magicians from the Star Peak Empire did was to open the Moon Network. Rather than looking at other sections, a Moon forum caught their attention. A large number of magicians curiously clicked on the posts sent by the magicians of the Evernight Empire. Looked inside. There are still people replying below some posts. Seeing the number of replies increasing one by one and the time it took for them to reply, these magicians from the Star Peak Empire acted like country folk entering the city. Staring with big eyes, he kept looking. The current atmosphere of the Moon Forum is already very good. The magicians exchange some daily experiences inside. Generally speaking, in the general forum, magicians exchange more experiences on magic practice. There was also some small talk. In the other sections of each department, the content they communicate is more professional and detailed, and they basically do not chat in other sections. For the magicians of the Eternal Night Empire, this is commonplace and not surprising. But for these magicians in the Star Peak Empire, it was magical. Therefore, after the release of the 100,000 moon rings, the number of magicians who clicked on the Moon Magic Encyclopedia in the past period was not very large, and the number of magicians who entered the specialized course sections of each legal system was even smaller. Now, these course sections have also been renamed by Chief Ibai. For example, what the Storm Goddess is in charge of is called the Storm Classroom, and what the Thunder Goddess is in charge of is called the Thunder Classroom. The Fire Department section is called Flame Classroom, and the Light Department section is called Bright Classroom. These classes, together with the Wisdom class, constitute the magic class of the entire Moon Forum. Why are they just hanging out on the forum? In the Kingdom of God, the Goddess of Wisdom can also see the general movements of the 100,000 magicians of the Star Peak Empire through the background. Seeing that these magicians did not enter the Moon Magic Encyclopedia or various legal classes immediately, the Goddess of Wisdom was a little puzzled. She asked in the Goddess group. Normally, this is their first time on the Moon Network, and there is so much news about the magicians of the Evernight Empire, so there will definitely be some curiosity. Chief Ibai said. The Goddess of Wisdom said, "Oh. Wow, are you from the Star Peak Empire?" "That's right, we just got the moon ring." "Wow. The Star Peak Empire is so far away. I heard that the fire magic there is very developed. I've always wanted to travel, but it's too far. I didn't expect to see news about you here. It seems that the Moon Network has expanded to the Star Peak Empire. The Moon Goddess is so great. Even though we are tens of thousands of miles apart, we can chat together." On the forum, there was a post from a magician from the Star Peak Empire, which caused a sensation. A large number of magicians from the Evernight Empire came to watch. Seeing the magicians tens of thousands of miles away coming to the Moon Network, these magicians naturally became interested. I am also full of praise for Yuwang. This incident also made the magicians of the Evernight Empire once again realize the greatness of the Moon Network. Invisibly, these magicians will become more pious when praying. This night, many magicians from the Star Peak Empire and magicians from the Evernight Empire started chatting on the forum. There are also many magicians who have added friends. Just like when Penguin first appeared, two people who have never met can chat all night long. Moreover, this time, these magicians were even more interested. Because the other party is tens of thousands of miles away. A distance of tens of thousands of miles is a place that most magicians cannot reach in their lifetime. Richard, ask them if there are many female magicians in the Eternal Night Empire. Richard, let me talk. Some magicians were in high spirits. Chief Ibai also rarely set the length of the chat. The entire Moon Forum has become extremely lively because of the participation of 100,000 Star Peak Empire magicians. Immediately afterwards, with the help of the magicians of the Evernight Empire, many of the magicians of the Star Peak Empire began to explore the functions of the Moon Network. They couldn't stop exploring this. Because they discovered that Yuwang is simply a big treasure, and they can get whatever they want. Wow, the Moon Goddess even gave lectures in person. The courses in the ice and snow classroom are also made by the ice and snow goddess herself. That's great. Doesn't this mean that each of us can have a great god as a teacher? Oh my god, I used to never dare to even think about becoming a disciple of an advanced magician. Look at the wisdom classroom, it contains so much information on magic cultivation. The magicians in the Star Peak Empire were all excited. Many magicians even jumped up on the spot. In the entire Star Peak Empire, the vast majority of magicians are not academics, and only a small half are qualified to enter the Magic Academy. Most magicians go through magic schools opened by older magicians, or study under the tutelage of some magicians. This is also very common in the continent of gods. Sometimes, some intermediate magicians begin to accept disciples. But in fact, they haven't learned it yet. But there's nothing we can do about it. There are only so many magic academies. Some small magic academies have high requirements, so many people still can't get in. There are also people who, after entering, have little success due to poor talent. If you want to continue learning later, it will be as difficult as climbing to the sky. However, the emergence of Yuang changed everything. Just like the magicians of the Eternal Night Empire, the magicians of the Star Peak Empire cannot help but be excited. Under such circumstances, on this night, many magicians from the Star Peak Empire stayed awake almost all night immersed in the Moon Network. The next day, with the testimony of these magicians, the news of the Moon Network spread further in the Star Peak Empire. The magicians who didn't get the Moon Net were all as anxious as ants on a hot pot, jumping around. However, Chi Phoebe still did not release the moon ring the next day. These magicians are very anxious. These magicians waited for another day before finally waiting for the second batch, another 100,000 moon rings. For this batch, the charges will start directly, which is still 10 gold coins each. It is useless for God to ask for too much gold, but enough gold must be recovered to make more moon rings. After the second batch of moon rings were released, the number of users of the Moon Network further increased that night. The magicians who didn't get the moon ring went to see their friends one by one. Why don't you throw it in at once? According to the current situation, if you throw it in at once, you should be able to put in more than half of it, right? Among the goddesses, the Storm Goddess asked curiously. Now in this group, apart from Chi Phoebe, there are 12 great goddesses including his wife. Chi Phoebe said, "This is called hunger marketing, so that when they get the moon ring, they will become more pious from the beginning." Although the moon ring is now enough to saturate the Star Peak Empire, Chi Phoebe still controls the rhythm. That's what it's for. Through hunger marketing, waves of magicians in the Star Peak Empire were able to increase their piety when they began to pray every day. Moreover, the topic of the Moon Network will further spread in the Star Peak Empire. In addition to the imperial capital, moon rings are also beginning to be released in some other cities in the Star Peak Empire. The spread in these cities should be slower, just to control the rhythm and wait for the news to spread further. Hunger marketing, this word sounds so interesting. You are so awesome. The Storm Goddess praised Chi Phoebe in it. She has almost the most words among this group of goddesses. In this way, after another 2 or 3 days, the third batch of moon rings was released. After this batch of monthly rings are invested, the total number of monthly users of the monthly network has officially exceeded 1 million. These 1 million are always magicians. This growth rate is extremely rapid. It took nearly 3 months from the beginning to the capture of the Evernight Empire. But it only takes days to capture the Star Peak Empire. As for the resistance within the Star Peak Empire, there is almost no resistance. Even if some gods now find out that they can't imitate the moon ring and moon net, they have some ideas, but these guys just. If you want to know more about the current Yuang, you won't dare to act rashly. The current Moon Network has gathered 12 great goddesses in the god realm. These 12 great goddesses belong to different gods. It is no exaggeration to say that when they unite, a weaker main god will not easily go up to them. 12 great goddesses have all settled in Yuang. Together, they are enough to suppress a large number of young people, allowing Yuang to spread quickly. This is another reason why Chi Phoebe pulled them into the car. Breaking 1 million, so fast. Yes, if this continues, maybe we can break the 2 million mark soon. Wasn't there a topic on the Moon Forum before, Million Magisters? If this can be realized, it would be awesome. Million Magister, Wow! Among the goddesses, seeing that the number of magician users on Yuang exceeded 1 million, it became lively. The goddesses became talkative. When hearing the topic of million magisters, goddesses who had never heard of it before expressed surprise. Millions of magisters. It sounds like an impossible number. This number is indeed magical. In the past, it not only made many magicians feel passionate about it. It also made these great goddesses feel a little dazed one by one. They began to realize that what they were doing now was not just to collect faith, once they really reached the level of 1 million magisters. That was really enough to shock the whole world. When the goddesses became more energetic because of the million magisters. In the Star Peak Empire, Chi Phoebe soon released the 4th batch. More of this batch of moon rings were sent to other cities in the Star Peak Empire. The transportation in the Star Peak Empire is not very convenient. In just 10 days, it is impossible to send fast horses to cover the entire Star Peak Empire. But there is Chi Phoebe. Chi Phoebe traveled through space in one space, and he could bring several people there. This also makes the delivery efficiency of the moon ring extremely fast. As batches of moon rings are dropped, the moon net becomes more and more lively. Through special comparisons, the moon goddess found that the newly joined magicians were indeed more pious when they first prayed. This shows that Chi Phoebe's hunger marketing that controls the release rhythm is effective. Of course, Chi Phoebe did not engage in excessive hunger marketing. His plan was to launch it within half a month. Therefore, the pace of subsequent launches has been accelerated a lot. In this way, a few more days passed, and half a month was up. In the Star Peak Empire, the number of magicians who have obtained the moon ring before 4.1 is already very small. In half a month, hundreds of thousands of official magicians from the Star Peak Empire were officially connected to the network. The number of magicians in the Star Peak Empire is just a few less than that in the Evernight Empire, just over 600,000. There are hundreds of thousands of fire magicians here. This is very good news for the 2 great goddesses of the fire department. The fire system itself is the largest legal system. The fire element of the Star Peak Empire is particularly outstanding. In addition to the fire element, the second and third most powerful elements in the Star Peak Empire are the water element and the thunder element. Because the Star Peak Empire has many rivers and abundant rain, water magicians are also loose. Among them, the dark magicians are the least. Therefore, Chi Phoebe understood how difficult it was for his wife. Among the 9 major departments of magic, dark magicians have always been the least. Regardless of magicians, even among ordinary people, the possibility of praying to the moon at night is very low. His wife was able to grow so rapidly despite such a disadvantage. She was also a genius among geniuses. After taking over the Star Peak Empire, Yuang took the first step from the single eternal night empire to the continent of the gods. The total number of magicians in Yuang has reached more than 1.3 million. After Chi Phoebe set up several stations in the Star Peak Empire, he returned to the kingdom of the moon goddess. In the divine kingdom of the moon goddess, rings are still being produced continuously. Due to the addition of the goddess of wisdom, the output of the moon ring has been further increased. Welcome back. The goddess of wisdom is still a guest. With the goddess of wisdom around, the moon goddess was still a little reserved when facing Chi Phoebe. However, seeing that the Xingfang Empire was captured so quickly, this night, the goddess Qiliang also entered Xiaoyu, and was whipped by Qi Fei. A night of romance. The situation in the Alliance of All Nations is relatively complicated, but as long as the magicians in the Alliance of All Nations see the potential of the moon ring, it shouldn't be a problem to win the Alliance of All Nations. In the group of goddesses, the Ice and Snow goddess said. After capturing the Star Peak Empire, further expansion and promotion can be continued. There are many countries on the continent of the gods. In addition to the kingdoms of gods, there are also countries of various sizes. Chi Phoebe's strategy was from big to small. Win the big countries first. A small country doesn't have many magicians, so it doesn't take much effort at all. The third goal is the Alliance of Nations, which is also on the trajectory of the moon goddess. This is an alliance composed of multiple principalities, kingdoms, and city-states. Compared to the Eternal Night Empire and the Star Peak Empire, the situation in the Alliance of Nations is more complicated. The forces here are complicated and there are a large number of gods competing for faith here. They even try to turn a certain country into their own. The area of AA, the Alliance of Nations, is much larger than that of the Evernight Empire and the Star Peak Empire. Its geographical location is also quite special, located in the middle area of AA several ridge lines. Ridges play an important role in regulating the climate on the continent of the gods. Wherever there are ridges, there is usually a problem, which is transportation. Like the snow mountain, it towers into the clouds and stretches for thousands of miles. It is not easy to climb over it. Therefore, the area of AA, the Alliance of Nations, is also relatively closed. In fact, the countries of the gods' continent themselves are relatively closed. But in the eyes of the goddesses, the problem is not big. There are many magicians here, and various principalities, kingdoms, and city-states are competing for magicians. Although it is an alliance, there are also some ambitious kings and monarchs in the Alliance of Nations who want to unify the entire region and make it a complete country. But unification is so difficult. Every country has its own ideas, not to mention that there are gods from the divine world behind it. This Alliance of Nations gave Chi Phoebe the feeling that it was like the spring and autumn period and the warring states period, but with more countries. Anyone who rashly provokes a war to unify the entire region will inevitably be attacked by other countries, causing the entire region to remain in a loose alliance. Among the 12 great goddesses, 2 goddesses have a small number of believers here. Chi Phoebe started to launch one after another, starting from the most powerful kingdom here. Not surprisingly, the launch of the Moon Network caused a great response among the magicians. The news has also spread to other parts of the 11,000 Nation Alliance. Many magicians have heard about the Moon Ring and Moon Net, and they are all eager for it. Due to the competition for magicians from various countries here, the magical atmosphere of the Alliance of Nations is rich, but there is not a large magic academy, and there are not many powerful magicians here. The attraction of Yuang to them is even greater. Chi Phoebe began to be released in different kingdoms one after another. There was not much resistance in this process. Most of the gods competing for belief in this area are first, second, and third level gods. Facing the behemoth of Yuang, few people dare to do anything behind the scenes, not to mention that Yuang is currently targeting magicians. The magician's faith itself is difficult to obtain, so even if those gods knew it, they would not dare to act rashly. Not everyone can be offended by the 12 great goddesses. As for the various countries in the Alliance of Nations region, they will not exert much resistance. These countries themselves are competing for magicians and treat magicians as guests of honor. No one would risk offending the magician by intervening. As a result, Yuang began to spread rapidly in the Alliance of Nations. Many new policies have been implemented in the Silver Star Kingdom, and the results have been very good. However, there are still some problems with the improvement of productivity you mentioned. I wonder if the potatoes and sweet potatoes in the Plantagenet Kingdom can make Silver Star Kingdom advance. As the Moon Network continued to expand on the continent of the gods, on this day, the goddess of wisdom Chi Phoebe said, Amaya told me that as long as you agree, I have no problem. Moon Goddess said. Chi Phoebe pondered for a moment and said, Honey, it just so happens that potato and sweet potato are also facing a problem. The Moon Goddess looked at her. Chi Phoebe said, The seeds I chose before cannot be planted too many times, otherwise the yield will be extremely reduced. This is also to avoid the seeds being stolen by other countries. Are there any such restrictions? The Moon Goddess does not know yet. Chi Phoebe nodded. I went down a few days ago and the potato production in the Plantagenet Kingdom has been declining. Where I come from, these seeds have been specially treated, so there are such restrictions. Quote, There are many types of seeds on the earth, some can be planted continuously, and there are also a large number of seeds that have been restricted through genetic technology. Like some cabbage seeds, if you want to grow them, you can only buy new seeds every year. When Chi Phoebe bought potato seeds before, he specifically bought seeds that could not be planted too many times in a row. After planting once and planting again for the second time, the yield will continue to decline. This is to avoid being stolen by other countries, or worse, stolen by other gods, and then promoting it as a gift from their gods. When the time comes, I will make wedding clothes for others. Seeing that the goddess of wisdom also wanted the seeds of high-yielding crops such as potatoes and sweet potatoes, Chi Phoebe thought for a moment and said, Well, if I'm not busy for a while, I'll take the time to go back and bring something over. He is ready to return to Earth again. On the one hand, bring more technological products to further accelerate the development of the Plantagenet kingdom. On the other hand, Chief Phoebe was also planning to go back to see the situation. He hadn't been back for a while. Wife, I will bring some seeds that can be planted continuously, but you also need to study how to prevent these seeds from being copied by other gods. Chief Phoebe said. He also specially brought some seeds and handed them to the moon goddess. Okay, Amaya and I will study the method. Lois is better at this. Bye, I'll invite her to study together. Moon goddess said. That is, the goddess of life. Her priesthood is related to this. Bye, if we can make these seeds unique, I would like to think of another way to collect faith. At this time, the goddess of wisdom spoke. Chief Phoebe looked at her. The goddess of wisdom said, Bye, no country can refuse these high-yielding seeds. We can completely popularize these high-yielding seeds in the continent of the gods. As long as restrictions are set, these seeds can also bring a steady stream of faith. The moon goddess's eyes lit up. She understood what the goddess of wisdom meant. Chief Phoebe also understood. If some restrictions can be set in the seeds through divine magic or the mark of God, such restrictions may not necessarily mean that they cannot be replanted. Rather, pray for restrictions. For example, if you want to successfully plant these seeds, you need to pray while planting them. The seed will be successfully activated. And if you want to replant, you need to pray more devoutly. You can even go a little further and pray every once in a while. In this way, once these high-yielding seeds become popular throughout the gods' continent, the faith they can bring will also belong to the Poseidon. After all, people have to eat food every day. Prayer restrictions are nothing to civilians. If we really give the common people such high-yielding crops so that they can produce several thousand kilograms per mu, they will pray every day, morning and night. This priesthood should be brand new. We don't have any related priesthood. Although Lois is the goddess of life, her priesthood is mainly related to the forest and healing. There are also some gods in the life pantheon, and they probably don't have specialized priesthoods. Quote, Moon goddess said, on the continent of the gods, the existing seeds have already spread throughout the continent. These seeds are everywhere, and no god would think of using these seeds to gather faith. How to collect? For example, wheat seeds are available in every household. If you set restrictions, won't people use their own? But potatoes are different. In the continent of the gods, there is no such thing. Same goes for sweet potatoes. There are other high-yielding crops on Earth that are not available on the continent of the gods. These brand new seeds are extremely productive and can be set with prayer limits. As long as there are restrictions on prayer, there is no need to worry about other countries stealing seeds. Chief Phoebe will even take the initiative to send seeds to some countries. The greater the popularity, the more faith these seeds bring. But, relevant priesthoods are still needed, and they are brand new priesthoods. In addition, there is another issue that cannot be ignored. That is the issue of distribution of benefits. The idea was proposed by the goddess of wisdom, but the thing was Chief Phoebe's. If it was to be realized, I'm afraid the goddess of life would have to be involved. The goddess of life is the best at this. It is not easy to set prayer restrictions in seeds. The seed is not Yuwang. The server of Yuwang is the godhead of the moon goddess, and the moon ring is also made by the moon goddess plus her hands. It is too easy to implement prayer restrictions. But the seeds are different. This is the crop. Even if we use Earth's genetic technology, we can't achieve prayer restrictions. At most, we can only restrict multiple plantings. So, to do this, the goddess of life must join in. The goddess of wisdom is also indispensable. The goddess of life may not be able to complete it alone. With her here, it's safer. After all, she is the wisest goddess. In other words, this genius idea of collecting faith through seeds requires the interests of 3 parties. This is nothing. If it can be done, this cake will be very big, no less than Yuwang. Let's do this, wifey, invite Lois over, try these seeds first, think of a way, and then use new seeds when I bring all the seeds back. Chief Phoebe said to his wife and the goddess of wisdom. Okay, bye. The moon goddess nodded. Goddess, I'm sorry to trouble you. Chief Phoebe said to the goddess of wisdom again. The goddess of wisdom showed a faint smile. Bye, don't worry, you may need this thing. She handed something to Chi-Fibai. Chi-Fibai took a look and saw that it was a necklace. This is the wisdom necklace. I have worn it for a long time, and now I give it to you. The goddess of wisdom said. Wisdom necklace. This is the necklace that the goddess of wisdom used to wear around her neck. Chi-Fibai also saw her wearing it before. Underneath the necklace is a sapphire, which is the gem of wisdom. This necklace is extremely precious. And, in front of the moon goddess, the wisdom goddess actually gave Chi-Fibai the personal belongings she had been wearing. Chi-Fibai subconsciously looked at his wife. His wife. Why does she seem to be completely unaware of the goddess of wisdom's affection for him? Amaya has been wearing this necklace for thousands of years. Shinobi has always wanted it, but Amaya didn't even give it to her. Please accept it and don't let Shinobi see it. The moon goddess saw Chi-Fibai looking at her and said. All right, my wife really didn't realize it. Wife, it's so easy for you to be fed by human beings. Chi-Fibai couldn't keep the goddess of wisdom's hand stretched out, so he had to reach out and take it. Thank you, goddess. Let me put it on for you. The goddess of wisdom did not hand it to Chi-Fibai, but took the initiative to put on the necklace for Chi-Fibai. The fragrant wind blew, and although she was dressed very conservatively, when she was wearing a necklace for Chi-Fibai, she didn't know why, but Chi-Fibai saw something he shouldn't have seen. With his wife beside him, Fibai quickly moved his eyes to the swan-like snowy neck of the goddess of wisdom. However, the goddess of wisdom wore it for a long time, and the ends of her hair were pushed into Chi-Fibai's face. Itchy. There is even more subtle fragrance. Even Chi-Fibai couldn't help but feel ripples in his heart. Okay, the goddess of wisdom put on the necklace. The necklace is not cold, on the contrary, there is still some warmth on it. Have no idea. Did the goddess of wisdom just take it off? This is her body temperature. Adele, let me just say that it looks great in Sunday wear. The goddess of wisdom said. The moon goddess nodded. This necklace 833 looks really good on Chi-Fibai's neck. Moreover, the effect of this necklace is very good. After wearing it, Chi-Fibai felt that his brain became much clearer in an instant, and he felt as if he had become smarter. If expressed in more data, the effect of this necklace is equivalent to the feeling of wisdom plus 1000. If a fool puts it on, he will probably return to normal, or even become a top student. I'm giving this handkerchief to you. If there are curse attacks or negative effects, just wipe your face or hands with this handkerchief and it will be wiped away. The goddess of wisdom handed another handkerchief to Chi-Fibai. This time she still grabbed Chi-Fibai's hand and placed it in Chi-Fibai's hand. Her actions were obviously serious, but it gave Chi-Fibai the feeling that she was teasing him in front of the moon goddess. But his wife didn't seem to notice anything. Everyone gave me handkerchiefs, but my wife was so slow to respond. Or is the goddess of wisdom doing work for my wife? Chi-Fibai had no choice but to accept it. Seeing that Chi-Fibai was going back to where he came from, the moon goddess also made a lot of preparations for Chi-Fibai. She first injected more divine power into the moon god wheel, and then prepared a large number of one-time use props for Chi-Fibai. In addition, gave it to Chi-Fibai. A few hours later, the goddess of life also came. After hearing about their plans, the goddess of life was obviously interested. And when she heard that Chi-Fibai was leaving, the goddess of life also gave Chi-Fibai something. Wife, 2 goddesses, I'm going. After Chi-Fibai greeted the 3 goddesses, he launched his ultimate move of time and space talent. Traveled directly back to Earth. This is his return to Earth after many months. Of course, it is a few months in the world of the gods. On Earth, this time has to be divided by 10. Once he returns to Earth, the place he returns to is still Chi-Fibai's home. After coming back, Fibai checked the time first. He has been in the world of gods for nearly a month now. It's better to purchase first. Chi-Fei thought in vain. Now, his portable space has expanded more than 100 times compared to the last time he came back. Can be purchased in bulk. A², the main things purchased are naturally various seeds. However, what Chi-Fibai needs is not the seeds sold in some seed stations that cannot be replanted multiple times. He needs seeds that can be replanted and planted many times. That kind of seed has not experienced too much technology and hard work, and has not been castrated. However, this kind of seeds are not easy to obtain. It will take some time to find it yourself. And his time is precious. After all, 1 day on earth is 10 days in the world of gods. Through the Extraordinary Alliance, it should be faster. Chi Fei thought in vain. The Extraordinary Alliance, also known as the Extraordinary Alliance, is a behemoth on the earth now. Thinking of this, Chi Feibai's figure moved and headed towards the headquarters of the Extraordinary Alliance. The seed base in Haicheng has these seeds, but purchasing them requires a lot of authority and contribution points. I suggest you go to Haicheng and ask. In Rongcheng, the headquarters of the Alliance of Extraordinaries, a uniformed staff member said to Chi Feibai. Rongcheng is not a big city, and the lack of seeds did not surprise Chi Feibai. Chi Feibai did not stop. After looking at the map, he started the time travel. After traveling twice, he appeared in Haicheng. This is the largest city in the east, where all the emperor's extraordinary people are concentrated. The reason why 2 space shuttles are needed is because Chi Feibai has never traveled to Haicheng before. There are indeed a lot of extraordinary beings in Haicheng, and extraordinary beings can be seen flying around in the sky. In the sky of Haicheng, there is a group of buildings floating. That is the part of Haicheng where the Extraordinary Alliance headquarters is located in the sky. The material used in the entire building complex is a new type of anti-gravity material. Chi Feibai pondered for a moment, and instead of going directly to the seed base, he entered the headquarters of the Extraordinary Alliance in a flash. This type of seed is generally not sold to the outside world. If you want to buy it, it is useless to have money. You also need contribution points from the Extraordinary Alliance. There is a rather embarrassing problem. Chi Feibai has no money. This question is indeed a bit embarrassing. Although anything he has in his hands now is priceless, Chi Feibai really has no money. Before awakening, Chi Feibai was an 18-year-old sunny boy. He grew up in an orphanage. In the past 18 years, he has not been idle and has still made some money. But the last purchase almost cost Chi Feibai all his money. Of course, he could use his time and space abilities to quietly go to the seed base and steal the seeds. However, Feibai didn't bother to do that. In the Extraordinary Alliance, there is something special for exchanging contribution points. The treasures obtained by the Extraordinary Alliance in some space cracks or secret places can be exchanged for contribution points and money. After Chi Feibai arrived there, he took out a small fruit and handed it to a staff member. This is another fruit in the kingdom of the moon goddess. It is not as precious as the moon fruit, but it is also very good. After the staff member put the fruit into a special instrument, his expression changed. Because the numbers of the instrument are directly off the charts. The staff member called the supervisor directly. Please wait a moment, we need to test it further. After a while, the supervisor here came. Chi Feibai was not in a hurry and waited aside. After waiting for about 10 minutes, a group of people walked in. It's him. The leader of this group of people was Wan Qingqiu, whom Chi Feibai had seen above Rongcheng before. Although Chi Feibai did not have a moonlight cloak on him at this time, Wan Qingqiu recognized Feidian immediately. She never thought that Chi Feibai, whom the Extraordinary Alliance had not found any trace of for more than a month, would actually appear here. Hello, senior. I didn't expect to see you here again. That fruit is very precious. I don't know what your senior needs. Qingqiu will do his best to help you. Wan Qingqiu walked up and said respectfully. Chi Feibai recognized her. Judging from this battle, her status in the Extraordinary Alliance should not be low. That's just right. Chi Feibai stood up, handed out a piece of paper, and said, I need a lot of seeds, here is the list. Wan Qingqiu took it, looked at it for a while, and handed it to a middle-aged man next to her. Director He, go make arrangements immediately. Yes, President. The middle-aged man took the list and hurriedly went down to make arrangements. Just a few hours later, truckloads of seeds were pulled over from a huge seed base. These seeds are mainly high-yielding crops such as potatoes, sweet potatoes, corn, and sorghum. Among them, sweet potato is not a seed, but a sweet potato vine. These can be sown continuously, unlike those that Chi Fei bought for free. After planting a few times at most, the yield will drop crazily. Chi Feibai came to a car, and with a slight movement of his hands, all the seeds in the car disappeared. Immediately afterwards, he packed all the seeds in the car into his personal space. His current portable space can hold an unusual amount of things. If all these seeds are put in, they only account for a small half. Chi Fibai is also planning to bring a large amount of mechanical equipment to the remaining area, especially generators, light bulbs, and some industrial equipment. When you come back, you can naturally take as much as you can. After all, a round trip consumes a lot of money. Seeing that Wan Qingqiu was very cooperative, Chi Fibai also gave her the list directly. Soon after all the seeds were installed, all the equipment Chi Fibai needed was ready. Through the extraordinary alliance, the efficiency will indeed be faster. If Chi Fibai is allowed to do the shopping by himself, even if he can travel back and forth at will, it will still take a day or two to purchase all the things he needs. Chi Fibai once again put all the equipment into the portable space. If you need anything else, Senior, just ask. The last time Senior took action in Rongcheng, these things are considered to be gifts from us. On the side, Wan Qingqiu said. She was still a little curious, wondering why such a powerful Chi Fibai wanted these things. For more than a month, the Extraordinary Alliance has been trying to find Chi Fibai, but there are no clues. There is no record of such a mysterious strong man, as if he appeared suddenly. This was the first time Wan Qingqiu encountered such a thing. After awakening their talents or extraordinary abilities, many people will choose to study in some extraordinary academies. Only those whose talents are very poor and no one wants them will develop on their own. Generally speaking, no matter how poor your talent is, you can still receive some subsidies from the Extraordinary Alliance every month. This is also to facilitate the registration and management of all extraordinary beings. But Chi Fibai didn't have any information, she didn't even know his name. This mysterious and powerful man who suddenly appeared has spread throughout the East for more than a month, causing all kinds of speculations. Now that Wan Qingqiu had the opportunity to get in touch with Chi Fibai so closely, she naturally wanted to show her kindness. Chi Fibai pondered for a moment and said, "Is there any movement among the 10,000 clan recently, especially the Ghost Clan?" Ghost Clan. Wan Qingqiu thought for a while and said, "Senior, since the last invasion of the Ghost King and the Million Ghost Clan were killed by Senior, the Ghost Clan has not made much noise in the past month or so, but there is a very important news." Oh, Chi Fibai looked at her. Wan Qingqiu said, "Senior, according to the news from the battlefield of the 10,000 clans, the Netherworld Star is about to be opened. I am afraid that all tribes will send strong men to join the fight. If they refuse to leave, it will turn into a new battle between the My tribe." Netherworld Star. Chi Fibai frowned, he had never heard of it. Wan Qingqiu was startled. Chi Fibai is so powerful. Why haven't he even heard of Netherworld Star? Is it possible that, as some netizens speculated, he was really just practicing silently before? Senior, Netherworld Star ranks 28th among all spiritual stars. It is said that Netherworld Star has been closed for thousands of years. During these thousands of years, it may have given birth to many source stones and rare treasures. All races will send out armies to fight for it. Quote. Wan Qingqiu explained. Her words gave Chi Fibai a new question. What is the origin stone? Wan Qingqiu was startled again. This senior seemed to know nothing about the extraordinary world. Immediately, she couldn't help but feel admiration. When she thought about it, her senior must have turned a deaf ear to what was going on outside the window and practiced hard in seclusion for who knows how many years before he gained such terrifying strength. Senior, the source power in the source stone can strengthen the source of an area. For example, as long as we have 1,000 source stones in the East, after the source power is released, the number of awakened people in the East will increase by 10% every year. Wan Qingqiu explained. I see. What is a spiritual star? Chi Fibai asked again. Wan Qingqiu showed no impatience at all, and explained carefully, Lingxing is a planet that produces special resources. There are currently 98 known spiritual stars. By the way, Senior, the Netherworld Stone will also produce a kind of Netherworld Stone. This is the Ghost Clan is bound to win, and they will definitely go out in force. This news is actually useful to Chi Fibai. After the Moon God Wheel kills the Ghost Clan, it can condense the soul beads. The soul beads can greatly enhance Chi Fibai's soul and spirit. So Chi Fibai is now particularly interested in the Ghost Clan. I wonder if other races among the 10,000 races will have similar effects after being killed with the Moon God Wheel. Chi Fibai felt that it might not be big. The moon god wheel could collect soul power, but if he wanted to collect other energy, such as blood energy, it shouldn't be possible. How long does it take for Netherworld Star to open? Chi Fibai asked. Wan Qingqiu said. Senior, there is still more than a month, so we can't be too specific. The closer we get, the more certain we can be. After finishing speaking, Wan Qingqiu handed Chi Fibai a special communicator. This communicator uses extraordinary technology and is much more advanced than the mobile phones used by ordinary people. It can also be used for a long time without charging. Senior, this communicator contains my number. If the time comes, I will communicate with Senior. In addition, this card is for Senior. There are 10,000 contribution points and 10 million in it. This is the fruit that Senior redeemed. Senior, if there are similar fruits, the Extraordinary Capital Alliance will harvest as much as they can. Wan Qingqiu said respectfully. Chi Fibai, come here. He does still have some fruits like that, but he is not ready to take them out for the time being. More than a month, to the world of gods, is also a year. Fortunately, this year, Chi Fibai can further strengthen himself and come back to see when the Netherworld Star is opened. He took a look at his personal space, which was basically full. Thank you, this is for you. Chi Fibai handed Wan Qingqiu a small fruit. It was possible to do so smoothly this time, thanks to the other party's help. Wan Qingqiu waved her hands repeatedly. Senior, no need, I. But before she could speak, Chi Fibai forced it into her hand. Goodbye. Then, Chi Fibai's shadow flashed and disappeared. Wan Qingqiu was left holding the small fruit there in daze. Seniors really come and go as they please. However, after spending a short time together, Wan Qingqiu felt inexplicably. Senior seems very young. The whole person gives people an extremely sunny feeling. Not long after Chi Fibai left, a white light quickly fell from the sky and came to her side. Qingqiu, where is the person? The white light dissipated, and a cold voice asked. Ah, Elder Lang, you are here, he has just left. Wan Qingqiu said. Left? Did you ask about his identity or anything? Asked a cold voice. Wan Qingqiu shook her head repeatedly. Senior talks too little, I'm embarrassed to ask. It's strange how such a powerful man with such a mysterious whereabouts appeared. Your Excellency Fibai. In the kingdom of God, Tissinia's cheerful voice sounded. Chi Fibai is back. This time, Fibai has been away for several days. Chi Fibai took a look and found that the three goddesses were not there. Where's the goddess? Chi Fibai asked. Tissini said. Your Excellency Fibai, the goddess has gone to the kingdom of the goddess of life, where she wants to plant the potatoes you gave her. The divine kingdom of the goddess of life is full of life energy and is indeed the best place for experimentation and planting. Chi Fibai said. Oh, touched Tissini's little head and said, how many moon rings are there? Tissini said, Your Excellency Fibai, there are hundreds of thousands more. Chi Fibai said, okay, give them all to me. Chi Fibai did not rush to the kingdom of the goddess of life, but first brought the moon ring to the continent of the gods, where he encountered the Fang Kingdom Alliance. Then, Chi Fibai went to the Plantagenet Kingdom again and distributed a large amount of equipment and machines brought this time. The number of magicians has increased a lot this month. A large number of magicians and civilians from the Hunhei Kingdom in the south have come over. I heard that they have implemented some controls and stationed a lot of soldiers on the border. Chiangwei reported the changes to Chi Fibai. Due to the attraction of the moon ring, a large number of magicians from the surrounding areas came to the Plantagenet Kingdom, and the surrounding countries naturally stopped working. Not only magicians, but also civilians ran away. Many countries have already taken actions, such as stationing troops on their borders and restricting civilians and magicians from leaving the country. No problem, continue to develop and recruit and arm some troops. Chi Fibai said. The surrounding countries do not have kingdoms belonging to great gods, so they will be good targets for expansion in the future. However, it is not necessary for the time being, development is the priority. However, due to the civil strife in the Plantagenet Kingdom, the army was seriously damaged, so it was necessary to arm and train some troops. Even if it is a kingdom of great goddesses, we must be careful. There have been great gods who were tricked and lost their kingdom. Some weaker gods may not dare to cause trouble as long as they find a backer. Okay, Your Majesty the envoy. Chiangwei said. After explaining this place, Chi Fibai left the Plantagenet kingdom and returned directly to the little moon in the kingdom of God. He was quite tired. After returning to Earth for money, he basically didn't rest. After returning from Earth, he also traveled to 2 places. Therefore, this time he did not go to the kingdom of God first and then enter Little Moon, but directly shuttled back to Little Moon. The divine kingdom of the moon goddess naturally opened all the permissions to Chi Fibai. He decided to have a comfortable sleep under the small moon before talking. Don't rush these few hours. The space in the little moon was very large. As soon as he entered, Chi Fibai saw a slim figure lying on a large, soft bed made of leaves from the moon god tree. Is your wife back? Chi Fibai's face lit up with joy. My wife has been very busy recently, especially since the goddess of wisdom came to visit. Chi Feiyu didn't have much time alone with her. So, seeing his wife in Little Moon, Chi Fibai came behind her without saying a word, smelled her body fragrance, passed one hand under her head, and hugged her. The other hand has naturally reached out. Honey, when did you come back? Chi Fibai asked. The aroma on my wife's body seems to be a little different. The aroma is not unfamiliar. Still somewhat familiar. Chi Fibai was a little confused. This was not his wife's body fragrance. As a god, my wife naturally cannot use things like incense. She has a body, but she also has a touch of body power. And there's something wrong with my wife's reaction. No, this is not my wife. Chi Fibai suddenly reacted. This is not my wife. The familiar aroma also let Chi Fibai know who this was. This is the goddess of wisdom. Why did she come to sleep in the little moon? Ticini did not know how to remind him. Wrong. This time he returned directly to the little moon. Ticini had never seen him at all. What to do now? Touched the wrong person. And the goddess of wisdom seemed to have no other movement except for her delicate body trembling at first. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.